SEC and the CFTC finally did something for us. There's a lot of misinformation running around, but let's cover what actually happened. SEC and CFTC said this.
Interpretation. So today, I'm pleased to announce that the SEC's persistent failure to provide clarity on this question is over. As we speak, the Commission is implementing a token taxonomy and investment contract interpretation, and you should find that in your inbox or if you look on the website when you get home. Our interpretation, which is grounded in existing law and informed by extensive public input, establishes 4 asset categories that are not deemed to be securities. So digital commodities, digital collectibles, digital tools, and payment stablecoins under the Genius Act. With these categories in place, the interpretation then clarifies that only one crypto asset class remains subject to securities laws, namely digital securities, which are traditional securities that are tokenized. This distinction returns the SEC to its core mission and statutory authority of protecting investors involved in securities transactions. We're not the Securities and Everything Commission anymore. So, thank you.
We are not the Securities and Everything Commission anymore. So what does this mean? Does this mean clarity? Kinda. So this is the SEC and the CFTC writing clear rules of the road in regards to the way they're seeing it under the current law. However, this is a major step for crypto. I am not trying to underwrite that whatsoever. But this is not law, and anything that's been done can be changed in a new administration. Rules can be rewritten. We need things codified in the law. So this is a major step. It classifies XRP as a digital commodity and many others as a digital commodity. Pretty much says that every cryptocurrency, unless it is a digital representation of a security, is not a security, which is good. And we have the actual document, real document right here. We like real information. So it classifies digital commodities as not securities. Crypto assets that are intrinsically linked to derive their value from programmatic operation of a crypto system that is functional, as well as supply and demand dynamics, rather than from the expectation of profits from the essential managerial efforts of others. So this is what XRP and most cryptos fall under. You think Canton Network, Ethereum, Bitcoin, pretty much everything falls under digital commodities as far as the core cryptos that we think of. Digital collectibles are not securities. This is like NFTs, digital art, things like that. Crypto assets that are designed to be collected and or used and may represent or convey rights to artwork, music, videos, trading cards, and in-game items, or digital representations or references to internet memes, characters, current events, or trends, among other things. So again, NFTs, digital art, digital collectibles, digital tools, not securities. Crypto assets that perform a particular function, such as a membership ticket, credential, title, instrument, etc., identity badge. So these are going to be your licensing tokens, essentially. And then stable coins, which we already know. And then digital securities are tokenized securities. There's that tokenization word that we love to hear. And we can continue reading. You can pause it and reread it if you like. It covers protocol mining, protocol staking, and wrapping are non-security crypto assets. So again, no issue with staking, mining, or wrapping of non-security assets. Certain crypto asset disseminations, known as airdrops, do not involve the investment of money under the Howke test. So airdrops do not involve investment, therefore do not count as securities. Commission addressed how a non-security crypto asset may become subject to and how it may cease to be an investment contract. Commission explained how a non-security crypto assets becomes subject to an investment contract where an issuer offers it by inducing an investment of money in a common enterprise with representation. So basically, if someone invests in Ripple, Ripple cannot give them XRP. that turns it into a security. Commission provided guidance on the nature of the representations or promises necessary to form an investment contract. So they clarified what the rules are of an investment contract in regards to crypto. Commission explained how a non-security crypto asset ceases to be subject to an investment contract when the investment contract terminates because either the issuer or fulfilled representatives or promises of the issuer have failed to satisfy representations or promises. So fraud. Preventing fraud. So again, majority of cryptos are now classified as by the SEC and CFTC as digital commodities. Major step for crypto, but it is not codified into law. So when we're talking about it becoming law, we've already explained why this is important, because it can be changed under new administration, just like the CFTC and SEC just did. They can write new rules without a new with a new administration if it's not codified into law. So when we're discussing it being codified into law, this is important. Senator Tim Scott says he expects the first stablecoin yield compromise proposal to land on his desk before the end of the week. Well, we've heard these stories before, but this time I think it actually may be true. At least as far as the stablecoin yield compromise, we can take it a step further. Let me go to this part. Where was it? No, I already pulled it down. Or Senator Loomis also said that come hell or high water, let me pull it up here. I had it. There it is. Senator Loomis, we think we've got it. And referring to the stablecoin yields, Senator Cynthia Loomis says the crypto market structure bill could clear the committee by late April and pass the Senate by year end. We think we got it, she said, citing a compromise on stablecoin yields. She went on to say that come hell or high water, I don't have it here in front of me, of course. She went on to say that come hell or high water, it's going to be done by 2026. Now, we've been talking about tokenization that's going to come like a freight train. It's going to cover everything. There's no way around it. And that's why I've been aligning myself in tokenization. Listen to what they have to say about tokenization.
Said the adoption of stablecoin was ahead of schedule. And this is despite the fact that there are members of Congress that seem to want to kneecap it.
Right. Well, it's fascinating because obviously stablecoins have sort of existed outside of the bank regulatory perimeter with the prior administration trying to kill it off, and they weren't able to kill it off. Now, of course, we've got a friendlier administration, but the banks are fighting. And the funny thing is the banks are actually now bringing the technology to bank customers by offering the technology in tokenized bank deposit form. And that's where I think the real action is going to be, Charles. There's 5.7 trillion of demand deposits in the US banking system and only 313 billion of stablecoins outstanding. So the real money, as Willie Horton used to say, he robbed banks because that's where the money is. The real money is in tokenized deposits.
Said the adoption
Rob
of
the
stablecoin
banks.
was ahead of schedule.
Because that's where the money is. The real money is in tokenized deposits. Do you think they're going to move those on public blockchains, guys? Or do you think that's going to take place on a private blockchain? Well, we already know that 5 banks are developing their own blockchain so they can run tokenized deposits. But I do believe that the Canton Network is probably going to capture a lot of this, as well as the XRPL when it comes to tokenized deposits. And I have my theories for that as well. We will get to it. So again, remember, we still have a lot of information to go through, but if you're here, hit the like button. Make sure you engage in the chat. We'll do a live Q&A when we get through everything. I'll do a recap for anyone who came in late, but engage in the chat. It is the lifeblood of the stream. Today is a good day. However, price is going down, and that's what we need to talk about next. For such great news to come out, why is price going down? Well, that's when we have to talk about the other side of the market, which we typically do talk about, and that is macroeconomics. So when we're talking about macroeconomics, tomorrow at 2:30 p.m., Chair Powell hosts his live FOMC press conference. That is today at 2:30 p.m. This post was yesterday. So today at 2:30 p.m., we get the press conference from the Fed discussing if we will have a rate cut or not, or the fear that everyone has right now after this morning is a rate hike. Why is there fear of a rate hike? Well, U.S. producer prices, PPI data came out today. U.S. producer prices rose more than twice as fast as expected in February. According to data released Wednesday by the Bureau of Labor, the producer price index, PPI, rose 0.7% in February over the previous month, up from January's 0.5% and more than double economists' expectations for an increase of 0.3%. And we are still not feeling the full effects of Iran yet. I don't think Iran has anything to do with what we're looking at in this inflation data. This is not good, ladies and gentlemen. Excluding the more volatile food and energy costs, producer prices, again, not keeping energy in here at all, so this has nothing to do with Iran. Producer prices advanced by 0.5%, 0.5% over the previous month, outpacing the 0.3% growth economists had predicted, but below the previous month's gain of 0.8%. On a year-over-year basis headline, prices rose by 3.4% above estimates of 3%. And the previous month's 2.9% on a year-on-year increase. Wholesale prices, excluding food and energy, gained 3.9% year over year, hotter than the estimates of 3.7% and the previous month's 3.6%. This is not good. Inflation is rising. Intermediate prices for these inputs businesses let me start that over again. Intermediate prices for the inputs businesses buy to produce other goods and services underpin the headline gains, led by energy goods and energy materials, which rose 5.5% and 6% respectively over the previous month. The Bureau of Labor Statistics noticed that nearly 30% of the February rise in index for processed goods for intermediate demand can be traced to prices for diesel fuel, which increased 13.9%. It's going to get worse, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to get worse. This is the beginning of bad inflation. April is going to look worse. So this makes me fear they may actually hike rates this week, which would not be good for the overall stock market. Because when we're looking at price, as you can see, things are falling, and I can do analysis, whatever. If you want me to do analysis, it has nothing to do with analysis. This has everything to do with the markets reacting to what's happening macroeconomically. Bitcoin down, XRP down, the S&P 500 is down, Nvidia is down, right? Nvidia is down, S&P 500's down. Where's S&P? Come on. There it goes. Micro S&P 500. Look at the S&P today. Okay? This is not good news. This is why we invest for the long view. We're going to have daily ups and downs. We can get great news in crypto and it doesn't do anything but go the wrong way because our economy is shit right now. I don't know how else to put it. I don't like to curse a lot on here, but I mean, I do not know how else to put it. I've been coming on here talking about credit card debt delinquency, all-time credit card debt, all-time auto loan delinquencies, home unaffordability, people not being able to sell their houses. Been talking about this stuff for months, and now PPI or inflation data is starting to sing a nasty tune, ladies and gentlemen. So that's what I've got here real quick. Let me put on my happy face real quick. We'll get to the start and recap everyone, and then we will get into the chat. So keep the chat going. And again, hit the like button. But quick recap for anyone who may have popped in late. The great news today, I'll play it again. It's only a minute, and I have more information as well. Actually, let me recap, and then we'll just go straight to the end of it. Okay, reset. Let me recap the information and I'll go straight to the end because I have a lot of positive news on one of our favorites, or at least one of my favorites, Canton Coin. So recap for anyone, this is what happened with the SEC and CFTC out of out of Chair Atkins. Paul Atkins is his first name, yeah. Chair Atkins' own mouth. Here it is.
So today, I'm pleased to announce that the SEC's persistent failure to provide clarity on this question is over. As we speak, the Commission is implementing a token taxonomy and investment contract interpretation, and you should find that in your inbox or if you look on the website when you get home. Our interpretation, which is grounded in existing law and informed by extensive public input, establishes 4 asset categories that are not deemed to be securities. So digital commodities, digital collectibles, digital tools, and payment stable coins under the Genius Act. With these categories in place, the interpretation then clarifies that only one crypto asset class remains subject to securities laws, namely digital securities, which are traditional securities that are tokenized. This distinction returns the SEC to its core mission and statutory authority of protecting investors involved in securities transactions. We're not the Securities and Everything Commission anymore. So, thank you.
All right, so majority of cryptocurrencies are now classified as digital commodities. We pulled up the document right here. You're welcome to pause and read it yourself. I'll put it up here for you guys to pause and read. And it basically outlines everything he just said. So you can follow the exact details right here. I've already read it once. We covered that Senator Loomis and, where'd he go? Senator Tim Scott, I don't have it here. Senator Loomis and Senator Tim Scott are both saying that they believe they have come to an agreement on stablecoin yield, and the markup should be done by April again and pass the Senate by the end of the year. That's what they're looking at, that it will go through by the end of the year. Again, my feeling has always been hopefully before midterms. I did not expect it earlier, and it looks like that may actually be lining up. At least that's what they're selling us for the time being. Covered digital bank deposits or tokenized bank deposits, potentially dwarfing stable coins. And again, I can replay this later. I've already done it once. We talked about the Federal Reserve meeting tomorrow, and that's where I got derailed because I started talking about the economy. Now, Canton Network introducing Cora, the private trading infrastructure for on-chain markets powered by Canton Network. Again, more private trading infrastructure, tokenized infrastructure coming to the Canton Network. This is major. Moody's becomes the first credit rating agency to bring its ratings data on-chain. Not just on-chain to Canton Network. They are the first credit rating agency to bring their ratings on-chain, period. Debuting its token integration engine on the Canton Network. That should be a major, major signal. These are the people that are involved in, credit ratings for mortgages and things like that. That should be a major signal of what's about to move on chain to Canton. If they start bringing on all the mortgage swaps and all that crap, oh my goodness, people. You want to talk about trillions of dollars of value moving on to Canton, they're setting it up right now. And when we're talking about the Canton Network, this is one of the co-founders, okay? I want you to listen to what he has to say.
So decentralization is not the core idea.
Well, no, again, it's at the right layer. So if you go into an ETH ecosystem, I kind of have this, kind of go-to example, and I don't mean anything negative by it. I just think it's one that a lot of people are accustomed to. So do you remember when there was all the Tether FUD? And everyone's like, oh, they're completely out of money, and the little bit of money that they do have is trapped in Chinese paper, and it's going to zero. And the whole reason Bitcoin is rallying is because Tether just keeps minting fake USDT and using it to buy Bitcoin on the exchanges. Right? Like that was a really big narrative not that long ago. And
yes, it was.
What I always like to ask the sort of like ETH maxis are, let's just pretend for a moment that had been true. What value did 1 million validators confirming that Shri sent me 100 USDT provide to me as a USDT holder? Absolutely nothing. It did not change the trust relationship inherent between me and the issuer. And And like, this is the thing where people just kind of pretend that this is a panacea. There are times when that is not supportive of your goals. But if you have one configuration for everybody, everything has to be the same. Everybody has to interact the same way. Everybody has to adhere to the same governance. Again, if you use the internet as a case study, that is just not the way that the internet grew. That's not what made it successful.
Hang on. If you use what as a case study? What are they comparing it to? Huh. We've heard some major people make that comparison, haven't we? The co-founder of Canton Network and the former CTO David Schwartz of Ripple, as well as others, mind you, comparing blockchain and blockchain adoption to the internet. Huh, what an interesting roadmap they use to determine adoption.
And so we reject this concept that every layer has to be maximally decentralized and that is the optimal configuration for what someone is doing. The network has to be decentralized. Governance needs to be decentralized. You need a credibly neutral ecosystem. You need to be a place for all. People need to be able to do whatever they need to do, but you also need to give the tools to institutions and large entities that need to be fully compliant and configure certain things different than others and set, their permissions in a different way than other people. And all of those things are valid, and all of those things need to coexist, and all of those things need to be composable. And yeah, there's going to be pockets of stuff that are hyper-centralized, and there are things that are super decentralized, but they coexist. And I think that that's a much more responsible approach.
I like the fact that you're not taking a maxi position in this.
You're not taking a maxi position. No, that's probably the most true real statement. Like there's not a blanket blockchain that's going to cover it. You need to be able to do both. You need to have pockets of decentralization and you need to have pockets of centralization. It's the only way. Blockchain was never going to replace banking. They're using it to improve banking in their eyes, right? They're using it to improve banking in their eyes. So how do they improve banking in their eyes? Well, they make it cheaper and they grant more access and more availability to people so more people can transact, which equals more fees, which means more money for them. They're not going to use it to lose money, right? They're not going to use it to lose money. I know it's negative and a lot of people, I actually do get quite a bit of hate. I actually do get quite a bit of hate, but that's how I've aligned myself because I was of the theory that the banks were never going to let this go. They were going to win. So I aligned my interest with the bankers and I heavily invest in XRP and Canton Network, but that's me. And again, I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. You should always do your own research. Investing comes with the risk of loss. Moving on, breaking, the S&P 500 is officially going 24/7. S&P Dow Jones Indices licensed the index to trade XYZ for hyperliquid perpetual futures contracts. The benchmark now trades 24/7 on-chain with no market closures for the first time in the index's near 70-year history, or 69-year history if you want the exact number. Now, this morning, if you guys follow me on X, you've probably seen it. And if you want to follow me on X and get all of this information before it actually reaches the stream or a video, you can follow me on X. But I was playing around with Grok today, and you guys know I like to do some fun things. And don't worry, it's not a really long, boring video, Kelly. I got you. But I was playing around with Grok today, and I literally put in the words, I quote, "Imagine XRP." That's it. This is what Grok spit out to me. You may notice anyone notice anything about that XRP token that seems off? Why the heck would Grok spit out an XRP token with the X Money logo on it and XRP underneath it? I thought that was interesting. It's probably nothing. I mean, it's Grok, it's AI, but I thought it was fun. I thought it was interesting. When you connect those kind of dots, it's kind of weird. I mean, maybe Grok's trying to tell us something. I reached out to Elon, William Shatner, and Ripple to see if anyone would comment. Obviously, I haven't got any comments, but a few people are starting to enjoy it. And again, you can follow me on X at LongViewCrypto. Currently priced now, let's look at XRP. Currently priced now, starting to rise. It's hanging out in our box. Again, we broke through the box. We have our line, fell straight to it. Looks familiar. Will it bounce and continue up? My guess is probably not. I think we got some more pain after this inflation data. That was not good data. Honestly, we're probably not going to see any more movement from here until we hear from the Fed, which we should hear from them in about an hour. So we'll find out more in an hour when the Fed comes out and they find out what they're going to do. If they hold rates the same, it's probably going to hang out in this area. If they decide to hike rates, it's probably going to fall more. Just be warned of that. If they hike rates, there's going to be some blood in the markets today, ladies and gentlemen. So with that being said, let's hop in the chat and talk to everyone today. Hopefully you guys are busy in the chat today. I appreciate everyone taking the time to be here. Raul was first in the house, but Tiny Dancer was a close second. Good morning, Tiny Dancer. Kelly made it in the house today. Bro, what is going on with the markets? Well, hopefully I answered that question. We had some terrible inflation data. Even if this is clarified, will it stay that way? Well, I addressed that. So the document released by the SEC and the CFTC does not change anything with clarity. Well, it does. I mean, it's rules to operate from for now, but it can be changed under a new administration. But it does give rules of the road for now. We still want to see it codified into law so new rules cannot be rewritten later. Does that change anything with taxes? Not yet. That's supposed to be discussed. I thought that was supposed to be discussed yesterday afternoon, but I think there was some confusion because the label of the document is crypto taxonomy. So people think it has to do with taxes, but it actually has to do with the clarification. I haven't seen any new information on crypto taxes yet. But when I do have it, I will definitely be covering it because it's something that a lot of people want to know. And Dad Hood Antics, that is a new name. Where are you from? And what do you hold? Anytime I see new people, I'm curious where they're from and what they are holding. What brings you to the stream? I'm here for XRP, Canton Network, Chainlink, HBAR, and Ondo, as well as my real world infrastructure plays, gold, silver, copper, and US Treasuries. Do you think crypto will ever decouple from Bitcoin? Yes, I do. I do. Once utility kicks it. Again, if you saw, I know you probably watched yesterday, Steven. We're very early. I think that the decoupling happens when some of the cryptos go away. I don't have it here in front of me, but I was watching a video with Yuval Ruz in it. And he believes there's going to be which Yuval Ruz, the CEO and co-founder of Digital Asset and Canton Network, if you don't know who that is. But he believes that there's going to be a repricing of layer one tokens in this bear market, if you will. And I tend to agree with him. I think a lot of tokens are going to go away that have not been able to prove utility. If they don't have the institutional adoption and they don't have the infrastructure, I think a lot of tokens are going to go away this cycle. There will be some serious losers and some serious winners. Whenever you hit a growth cycle for a new emerging business or technology, look at the internet. And if you missed me talking about the internet, watch yesterday's stream. At least the first 15 minutes, you'll have an idea of what I'm talking about. But if you look at the adoption rate of the internet, it wasn't until we had the growth section where some businesses completely separated themselves from others and others went away. Okay. I think we're entering that phase now. Like we talked about yesterday, we're sitting right between phase 3 and phase 4 of the adoption trajectory and comparing it to the internet, which we hear them talk about a lot. Okay. Todd Madison's in the house today. Fun Bro made it in from Kentucky. Effing sinister. Price going down because the world just sucks right now. More or less, PPI data, inflation data, terrible inflation data, fears of rate hikes. 99% no change as far as the rate. I'll take no change over a rate hike. But the reason I think there's fear of a potential rate hike is because we still haven't priced in all the short-term inflation from the oil, right? So I think there's a possibility. Todd says, where do I get the members only Google Meet link tonight? So here's what I'm going to do. Since it's our first Google Hangout meeting, I'm going to start the members only live stream tonight 15 minutes early. I'm going to start it at 6:45. So anyone who's here can go in there, and then I can get your email, and I'm going to fire up the Google Hangouts, and that way I can stream it to the members only live stream. So anyone who misses it can still watch it. That's my goal. So tonight's members only live stream, I'm going to start it 15 minutes early tonight at 6:45 so we can set up the Google Meet for the members only. And again, if you're new to the stream, memberships are available. My members they were doing a weekly live stream with me, but for now, my members, especially my core members, are going to be doing a weekly Google Hangout session with me on Wednesday nights at 7 p.m. So if you want to be involved with that, you gladly become a member, become part of the Longview founding members. I would appreciate it. Fun bro, unfortunately, common sense is not so common. Yeah. Well, I mean, in his defense, inflation, cutting rates while inflation is going up is not a good thing. That's going to spark more inflation. So in his defense, he's kind of handcuffed right now. Inflation's going up, and we're in the middle of an Iran war that's pushing oil up, which will cause more inflation. Yeah, it's not good. What about cryptos are not on the SEC CFTC 15 crypto list, AK? Okay, so it listed the most common ones, but if you actually look at the page, it describes what falls into each section. So even though it might not, even though a crypto might not have its quote unquote official clarification from the SEC or CFTC, it does read the requirements. And they said pretty much every crypto that's not a tokenized security is not a security. So unless it's like a tokenized ETF or a tokenized stock, it's not a security. They very much clarified that, but again, I do have the document here. Let me pull it up for you. If you want to, you can pause it, go back to it, but this is the document and all the baskets, and it explains what falls under what right here. These 5 total baskets, but I would say 99% of the cryptos that we're talking about fall under the digital commodities section, classified as not securities. They are digital commodities, and you can read it right here. I'll read it again. Crypto assets that are intrinsically linked to and derive their value from the programmatic operation of a crypto system. So anything that earns its value from its own crypto system. That is functional, as well as supply and demand dynamics, rather from the expectation of profits that are essential managerial efforts. So it cannot be tied to a company stock. For those people who constantly argue that Ripple's improving, and XRP does nothing, if XRP moved with Ripple, it would not fall under this category, ladies and gentlemen. So there's reasons for all of these things. So it is not a security as far as XRP goes, but 99% of cryptos fall under this basket. And again, pause it, read it, do whatever you like. The title of the document, let me pull it up here, 33-11412 fact sheet, directly from the SEC.gov. That is what we are looking for. Now, back to the chat. Let's see. Hopefully everyone's doing there. And keep the chat rolling, guys. We will talk as long as you guys are wanting to. So even as commodity, the price doesn't appreciate until supply disappears, along with demand increase. Yes, you are correct. It's something I've been talking about, David Daly, and that's a new name. And again, if you guys are new to the stream, I'm seeing names I don't recognize. Joe Buddy, David Daly. If you guys are new to the stream, where are you from? And what is your favorite crypto? This channel is about the long view. We're about what crypto is going to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now. I personally hold XRP, Canton Network, Chainlink, HBAR, and Ondo. But we cover macroeconomy because the macroeconomy is what's impacting these right now, because they all move as risk speculative assets until utility separates them. That's always been my belief. So I agree with you wholeheartedly, David. Fun, bro. I would like to learn TA. Where do you recommend any videos for learning? I actually learned technical analysis from books. And I mean, because I started learning before AI. but I started learning technical analysis from books as well as paper trading, and learning how a chart moves throughout the day. Because there's the thing about it, fun bro, and again, none of this is financial advice, but the thing about it is there is a million different ways to perform technical analysis. And every person is different as far as their comfort level, their emotions, what works for them. So really, a lot of technical analysis, and a lot of it you can actually work with AI right now. You can send AI a screenshot and it'll tell you all the technical analysis you want to know. Really, truthfully, you can. I mean, I could show you right here. I could put it in a Grok and let Grok do the technical analysis for me. What it really comes down to is finding out what system works for you. What system works for your emotional state? What system works for your eyes when you're reading a chart? Like, you are the human element, so part of the human element is practice as well. But there are so many AI tools right now. I mean, you can literally take a screenshot of a chart, put it in Grok or GPT, and tell it to analyze and explain it to you, and it'll start teaching you. AI is a great tool. A tool, not a replacement for things. The Fed interest rate announcement is today at 2 p.m. Eastern. I thought it was 2:30, but I knew it was somewhere in there. Feels like Internet 2.0 at the beginning. Not much was online. Then everything was put online. Now it seems everything is being put on blockchain. Exactly. And that's exactly, Stephen, why I did the video yesterday. Because I've talked about the parallels between blockchain and the internet that I've seen for a while, but I didn't put it out there as, as a full breakdown like I did yesterday until now. But I really think you guys should check it out. I think it's a great explanation of how we're moving forward with blockchain. 134 to 136 today. It's possible. I think it's going to depend on what happens with the rate cuts or rate hikes in the meeting here in about 30 minutes. We'll see what Powell says. If he comes out hawkish and bearish, yeah, I think we'll see the 134, 136 today. If he comes out and it's, more of the same, we might hang on around 140. And if for some godforsaken reason, I don't think he will, he decides to cut rates, then we'll see a massive rally, but I don't think that's going to happen. Oh no, I've been labeled the hater of long, boring videos. I'm just giving you a hard time, Kelly. No, man, Grok makes tons of mistakes. I wouldn't think about any coincidences there, okay? Good morning from the three brothers. Welcome, welcome. Now, the other video you posted, the Eminem parody, that was brilliant. That one was even longer. That one was 7 minutes, Kelly. He actually got a retweet. From, or a response. Yeah, he got a response or a retweet from David Schwartz on that, which was pretty cool. I thought that was great. Trump has been quiet about crypto taxes and capital gains lately. He's a little busy right now putting out fires in Iran. Yeah, I'm not surprised he's not talking about crypto right now. He's trying to fly that under the radar and deal with everything else he's messing with. Notices SBF's post today is cozying up to Trump, playing for a part. Sure, probably. Crypto rather that be XRP, Bitcoin, etc. Sooner or later will be institutional. It's a matter of when. Hell yeah, I agree with that. And hell yeah, America, where are you from? And what is your favorite crypto? Whenever I see new names, I want to know where you're from and what you're holding, because you guys are amazing. You guys are the ones that grow the community, much like our Angel becoming a founding member today. Thank you, our Angel. I will see you tonight in the members only Google Hangout. I appreciate that. And again, memberships, super chats, any money, ads, whatever. Any money this channel takes in goes to promoting the channel and growing the community. I'm not keeping any of it for myself. All of this is about growing the community. So I appreciate everyone taking your time to be here, because your time is your most valuable possession. So thank you very much, our Angel. I appreciate you becoming a founding member. Good evening. I'm up to join and discuss XRP live. All right. Well, we discuss everything in the members only live streams. And again, none of it's financial advice. I do not go over financial advice. But if you want the best, closest, like one-on-one discussion experience without having to rely through a chat, then this is the best way to do it, is the members only Google Hangout meetup. Our Workman official made a comment, but then backed out. If you're new to the stream, where are you from, Workman? Let's talk. Our Angel, I use Perplexity and Claude, in my opinion, both in combo are the best to do your technical analysis. Okay. Do you see $1 XRP? I'd really love to see one more dip to buy another bag. I still think it's possible, Steven. I still have my buy order in at $1.02. Again, we don't know what it's going to do daily. We can try and anticipate. We can try, but no one knows if it's going to go up or down. I mean, as I was watching Margin Call yesterday. Any of you have seen it? It's a great flick. But he said, he's like, it's not my job to determine whether things are going up and down and sideways or what. He says, my job to determine when the music stops. It was all about the long view. When is the music playing and when is the music stopping? And to me, sounds like the music's getting kind of slow in the stock market right now when we're talking about inflation and jobs data and credit cards and all this stuff. So I'm not really trying to predict it. It's possible, but that's why I'm here for the long view. I have my buy orders in, and I'm not necessarily trying to time the tops or bottoms. If it happens, it happens, and I get my order filled. I wish I could give you a better answer, but that's unfortunately just not possible to do. I'm stuffing my face with gumbo and butter cornbread. How's everyone? Good for you, Judah. With butter and cornbread. With gumbo and butter cornbread. I like the honey butter cornbread personally. I know that's a little weird, but I do like that. Gumbo is always good. I've been eating a lot of spicy chicken and rice myself lately. It's tough out there. And for those of you who may not have noticed, I'm frugal as hell. I do not spend a lot of money. I invest most of my money. From the aisle, man. Welcome, David. Welcome. Appreciate you. Aisle. I don't even recognize that flag. Aisle of what? What is that flag, David? I don't even recognize it. School me. Trump multitasks better than anyone I know, and for sure better than any president in my lifetime. Well, I mean, in all fairness, again, I'm a Republican. We haven't had a better economy than we have under Bill Clinton, though. But that could be due to the innovation boom of the internet as well that we talked about yesterday. How is that works? Never do that before. So, our Angel, what we do is I typically was doing a members only live stream. This is going to be the first Google Hangouts week. So I typically do a members only live stream, but it starts at 7 o'clock. So today for members, because we're switching to the Google Hangout format, today I'm starting the members only live stream at 6:45. So I can get everyone's emails and send a Google Hangout invite, and we're going to start that at 7. But this way I can still stream it to the channel, so any members who are not in the stream can still watch it, or who are not in the Hangout can still watch it. Stephen Haynes, just watched the oil and Japan carry trade all lined up. Well, if they hike rates in the United States, that's actually going to deter the reverse carry trade, unfortunately. Funbro says, I have buy orders for lower XRP as well, but I'm not banking on it. When I say I hope it goes lower, my friends just don't get it. They only want to see upwards movement. Well, I mean, because most people can't think about anything more than 5 minutes in front of them. And honestly, that's very, very, very evident in investing. That's why retail gets wiped out every single time, right? That's why most people sell when they see the red candles and they buy when they see green candles. It's the stock market works completely opposite of human psychology. When shit is tanking 30-40%, that's when we should be buying. I mean, historically it's written in, like, read the books, like anytime that's, I'll say this because most of the generations that came after me or us, for most of you are 35 to 55 years old in here, but most of the generations that came after us fail to realize something. Anything you want to do in this world, anything that you want to be successful in, someone's done it before, and they've written down a blueprint of what they did in a book. okay? Read, learn, educate yourself, self-improvement. You should be getting better at something, improving yourself in some way every single day, 1% better. If you improve yourself 1% a day and improve your skills 1% a day, 20 minutes a day, improve a skill, and you will become invaluable. That's how you work for yourself. That's how you get the knowledge. That's how you can set up situations and systems to get you ahead in the world so you're not fired after 10 years for working for the same corporation and get dropped on your ass. That was me, by the way, for any of you who are new, right? I worked for a company for 10 years. I went on long-term disability and they fired me after I had a stroke. They don't give a shit about you. They don't. Longview is such an appropriate name and plan. Yeah, well, you know, it kind of worked out too. Most of you don't know this. You may have seen it if you've caught a few things, but my last name is Long. So the long view runs deep. It's tied in everywhere there. I'm putting in more CC orders in XRP. Good for you. Good for you. From Ohio, holding XRP, HBAR, and Ondo. Nice. I hold all three. Discovered this channel. Love the conversations. Thank you, Toby Boy. And I do love my Tommy Boy as well. I love Tommy Boy. I miss Chris Farley. He's one of the ones I wish we didn't lose. I mean, I know he died of a heart attack due to drug use, but some people who are involved in this stuff still do have a good heart. And I think he was one of the good ones with a good heart. But most comedians are very depressed. I've lost a lot of my favorite actors, unfortunately. Robin Williams, Chris Farley. Raul says he'll be in the members only hangout tonight. Perfect, perfect. Isle of Man is the United Kingdom. Okay. Thank you, Kelly. Showing my stroke brain there a little bit. How do you plan? How long do you plan for the hangout? They usually go an hour long, fun bro. I usually do them from 7 Central to 8 Central. Sometimes they go a little bit longer, but I usually try to give you guys at least an hour. But if sometimes we just get talking, it's gone an hour and a half, 2 hours. It just depends. As long as you guys keep me talking, I will stream. That's how I go. Believe, let's see here. David, Isle of Man. It's the asshole of nowhere. Okay. Isle of Man. Manchester? Manny United? I'm starting to connect dots in my brain here. Operation Buzz. I believe the shenanigans happening in the market, the delays of market clarity, Senate, as well as uncertainty of the Middle East conflict are meant to drive retail investors out. They very well could be, but I think retail investors are, for the most part, out right now. I mean, most people can't pay their like half of the country struggling to pay their rent or mortgage right now. I don't know if you guys saw me retweet that stat on X, but like literally 49% of the country is struggling to pay their rent and or mortgage right now. So look left and look right of where you live. One of them is struggling to make their mortgage payment. That's the world we're living in right now, ladies and gentlemen. It's scary, but it's real. I try to give people the real information. I was actually in Crypto Sensei's live stream last night talking to him. He said he's up for a collab, so we'll see. I had a good conversation with Crypto Sensei. And I put it all out there for him because he started talking about this. And I think I got a little too doom and gloom for him because he said this is not the stream for this. But I lined it all up there for him and told him exactly what I was talking about. He's like, yeah, you're right. When I mentioned credit card debt at an all-time high, credit card delinquencies at an all-time high, auto loan delinquencies at an all-time high, 50% of Americans can't pay their mortgage, people. Is not good. It's the fear they're going to lose out when it goes up. Absolutely. It's social, like for instance, it's social proof is what it is. It's social proof. So prime example, YouTube. If I have 100 to 200 people in the stream, more people keep diving in because there's social proof. The larger a stream grows, the more likelihood people are to jump into it because they believe there's value there. So the same thing with investing. The more people are jumping into an asset, social proof says there's value there. They're following social proof. So usually when it comes to investing, the opposite is true. The people who are the ones making the money, they're the people who are already there before it goes up. There are plenty of crypto influencers out there, and most are great at prodding folks to learn and have patience. Well, out there, and most are great at prodding folks to learn and have patience. Well, the thing is, I think people have a problem with that when they switch to learn and have patience from saying that XRP is going to $1,000 or XRP is going to $100. A lot of times this happens once someone's price prediction doesn't hit. So then they say learn and have patience, or they push the timeline back, or they add another domino. I think that's where a lot of people get frustrated with that. And honestly, that's a big reason why I put long view in part of the title or in part of the channel description. So I just made it very clear and apparent what I'm about from the get-go. And I can always reference the channel name if someone has a question on that. Tiny Dancer, wait a sec. What's a book? Yeah, they don't even use those in school anymore. Now everything's on the Chromebook, right? It's those words they write on digital papers now. They don't actually make real books anymore. Or at least they do, but they don't give them out to kids to learn to read. They all learn how to read on a screen now. I was talking with my daughter's teacher not long ago, and I'm going to hop into a recap for everyone. But I was talking to my daughter's teacher not long ago about the issues that she's having with reading. Now, mind you, I read to my daughter every single night from age 2 to age 8 when she didn't want me to do it anymore. We read every single night. She would help me, everything. She cannot read on a freaking screen. The words get jumbled up in her mind. I've worked with her. I've taken her to, people to help with reading tutors and all that stuff. And they're still forcing her to read on a screen. I'm like, if you put a book in her hands and make her focus on the book, she can read it. But the words get jumbled around on a screen for her for some reason. I don't know if it's the lighting or what, but we've tried different things and she's still having problems with it. There, save trees now. Yeah. Save the trees now. But that electric bill for pumping all these electronics, that's really helping the trees, isn't it? I don't see in your bio, are you on X? If so, what's the name? Yes, I am on X. It's Longview Crypto. Longview Crypto is on X, not Longview Compute. It's Longview Crypto. Damian Boss says his wife is homeschooling. I wish that would have been an option for me, but at the same time, I do think that public school creates a socialism element that I think kids need as well. Now, that can also be achieved in sports and extracurriculars as well, which are available through homeschooling. But I think that a combination of societal exposure and homeschooling, especially now, if you want your kids to have any chance in this world, I don't think the public school system's cutting it these days. Too many kids are getting left behind. So many kids are coming out with reading deficiencies and everything else. It's a problem. It is a problem. Let's do a recap for anyone who came in. Let me see how many people are in the chat here. See what we're dealing, or how many people are in the stream for that matter. And then we'll do a quick recap for anyone who is in here. Looks like we got 71 people in again. Hit the like button if you guys are in. And if you're new to the stream, where are you from? And what are you investing in? Here's a recap for anyone who came in late. We're going to cover everything to get you caught up here. So let's pull it up here. Let me get this stuff set up correctly and engage in the chat. We will come back to the live stream chat replay as soon as we get through the recap. So if you came in late, you're wanting to know about clarity. Well, here's exactly what was said by the SEC chair, Paul Atkins. I have it here for you, and I'll cover what it means in just a second. It takes about a minute and a half. Hang out for me and listen. Here we go.
So today, I'm pleased to announce that the SEC's persistent failure to provide clarity on this question is over. As we speak, the Commission is implementing a token taxonomy and investment contract interpretation, and you should find that in your inbox or if you look on the website when you get home. Our interpretation, which is grounded in existing law and informed by extensive public input, establishes 4 asset categories that are not deemed to be securities. So digital commodities, digital collectibles, digital tools, and payment stablecoins under the Genius Act. With these categories in place, the interpretation then clarifies that only one crypto asset class remains subject to securities laws, namely digital securities, which are traditional securities that are tokenized. This distinction returns the SEC to its core mission and statutory authority of protecting investors involved in securities transactions. We're not the Securities and Everything Commission anymore. So, thank you.
We are not the Securities and Everything Commission anymore. What does this mean? But what does it mean, Basil? Well, pretty much exactly what he said, but here's the one-page document. It's directly from the SEC.gov. It's Article 33-11412-fact-sheet. You can pause it and read it, but basically, right here, this is the main thing. Crypto assets that are intrinsically linked to and derive their value from programmatic operation of a crypto system that is functional as well as supply and demand dynamics rather than from the expectation of profits from the essential managerial efforts of others. So the token price cannot move because of the company price, right? So XRP cannot be directly moving with Ripple, right? Otherwise, then it would be a security of Ripple. That is what happened with the CFTC and the SEC as far as classifying clarity. Now, we still need it codified in the law. This is a major step. I'm not going to undermine that, but it still needs to be codified in the law because just like they wrote these rules, they can be rewritten under new leadership and a new administration. They cannot be if they're codified into law, or if it does, it makes it much more difficult to undo it. Senator Loomis says, we think we got it. Senator Cynthia Loomis says the crypto market structure bill could clear the committee by late April and pass the Senate by year end. Tim Scott went on to say as well that he believes he will have it on his desk in the next few weeks. So we may have some progress with the Clarity Act, and they are looking to have it done by the end of the year. Again, from the beginning, after they got pushed back in January, I said before midterms, looks like that is going to be correct. Now, tokenized deposits will dwarf stable coins. This is 53 seconds. We can watch it real quick. It won't take too much time.
Said the adoption of stablecoin was ahead of schedule, and this is despite the fact that there are members of Congress that seem to want to kneecap it.
Right. Well, it's fascinating because obviously stablecoins have sort of existed outside of the bank regulatory perimeter with the prior administration trying to kill it off, and they weren't able to kill it off. Now, of course, we've got a friendlier administration, but the banks are fighting. And the funny thing is the banks are actually now bringing the technology to bank customers by offering the technology in tokenized bank deposit form. And that's where I think the real action is going to be, Charles. There's 5.7 trillion of demand deposits in the US banking system and only 313 billion of stablecoins outstanding. So the real money, as Willie Horton used to say, he robbed banks because that's where the money is. The real money is in tokenized deposits.
Tokenized deposits running 5.7 trillion versus 313 billion in stable coins. Okay. Tokenized deposits are going to dwarf stable coins. What chain are tokenized deposits going to move on? That is the question. I tend to have my theories. And again, today at 2:30 p.m. Eastern, so in the next 30 minutes, we will have the FOMC press conference about any potential rate cuts or rate hikes, or if they're going to do nothing. That's going to be live in 30 minutes. Introducing Cora, the private trading infrastructure for on-chain markets, powered by Canton Network, launching this week. Again, more on-chain markets coming to Canton, more burn rate. We do love to see the burn rate go up, and they just announced that they're going to be bringing the burn rate to their private blockchains as well. Breaking, the S&P 500 is officially going 24/7. The S&P Dow Jones Indices licensed the index to trade XYZ for hyperliquid perpetual futures contracts. The benchmark now trades 24/7 on-chain with no market closures for the first time in the index's 69-year history. Do we have any questions on which direction blockchain is going? Right? It's only going one way. Everything's being tokenized. And again, if you want to follow me on X, you can at Longview Crypto. I did a post this morning that was me just trying to have fun, if I can find it. Was me just trying to have fun, and here it is. I said, literally, I said to Grok, imagine XRP. And this is what it shot out. I thought it was interesting that it put the X token on XRP. Like, okay, you want to put X money on XRP? Surely there's not a connection there. At least that's what everyone's saying. And again, just for fun, AI makes mistakes. I know this. I'm not reading too much into it, but it was fun nonetheless. And again, you can follow me on X like Funbro just did here at Longview Crypto. Let's hop back in the chat, see how everyone's doing here. That's all the news. That's all the info. And we will keep going as long as you guys keep talking. So right now, I'll pull my Andy Reid. With that, time's yours. Church and sports. Yep, absolutely. Church is another good place to get the socialization. There we go. That's the word I was looking for. ISO coins are the way to go. In my mind, go Tangem. Go Tangem? Tangem? I got my Tangem right here. This is my new bank account. I use it for almost everything except for my long-term cold storage, but my Tangem wallet replaced my Warm wallet now that they have a DEX, and now that I can actually make crypto payments straight from Tangem. Just my 2 cents. Maybe you should make a video showing how to use the TA on Robinhood. I have an account and didn't see it until today. Oh, you mean talking about Robinhood Legend? Okay. I could probably do that. I have to be careful as far as how far out I move from my core message, because if you start broadening too much, YouTube gets confused on who to show you to. Complicated algorithm mess. But that's the reason why I ask you guys especially at the beginning of the chat. Most of you who are here now are my regular people. But that's why I always ask at the beginning of the chat to hit the like button and start chatting, because the first 5 minutes of activity in a stream dictates how many people it shows it to. The YouTube algorithm is crazy. Let's see. I getting good news all the time. I think a 6 month will be okay, but for now, just keep adding to your bags. That's what I do. Invest in the long view. Same amount, same time, same tokens every single month for the long view. That's what I do. Funbro says, I agree with you. 6 months from now, many of us are going to be in very different financial places. Yes, hope you. Stable coins were just the preview. Tokenized deposits are Main Street. Exactly. And where are those tokenized bank deposits going to land? They're going to land on chains that banks want to work in. Where are banks aligning? Right? XRP, Canton. That's why I look at these things. That's just me. Breaking news, Federal Reserve leaves interest rates unchanged, remains 3.5, 3.75%. So no hike, and they are staying the same. So I guess they decided to go earlier. I just looked at the thing, it said 2:30. But thank you, R Angel, for the update. So interest rates are remaining unchanged. Let's see what's happening with price. Keep the chat rolling, guys. I'll pull the price up and we can see how it reacts to the no change. It shouldn't react, really. Let me see here. We pull up the right screen. It shouldn't react. Yeah, it's going up. There you go. You can already see it starting to climb up now. Gosh, but this fall right here, I mean, look at this like massive fall and like almost no volume. But we were broken back through the box, Can it reclaim 151? Let's see what Bitcoin is doing here. Bitcoin's trying to get back above 72,000. It hit it and is fighting. So Bitcoin needs to reclaim 72,000 or it may continue to fall. We'll see what happens. But that's kind of what I'm looking at for my original analysis here. But so Bitcoin's coming up a little, everything's starting to recover a little bit. We can look at the overall market. It's pretty red. Hyperliquid's up with the news today of 24/7 trading. So that, I mean, Hyperliquid's been getting a large run this year. I mean, they're in the last month, they're up 45.6%. Hyperliquid's up to $43. I mean, over the last year, it's up 224%. Well, no. See, you got to be careful with this sometimes. It's going from here to here to give you that 224%. So, but I mean, it's still doing very, very well. It's at $43 right now, up from $10.57 a year ago. So if you're invested in Hyperliquid, you're doing very, very well for yourself, up quite a bit. Zero's doing well. This was one of my dart throws. Ooh, it's up to 230 or up. Oh, it's up to 218 now. I did get up as high as 238. I bought this one at like $1.80 something. So I'm doing well on that. That was one of my dart throws. They're backed by ARK Invest. That's why I bought some of those when I saw it. So overall markets meh. Sitting at 14.59 for CC. So there you go, Raul. You're back in the 14.5s. You were wanting to pick up some more. I still don't think it's going to go below this 14.5. We'll see if I'm right or wrong on that. That's what I've been calling as its support. It's still holding there. And again, none of it's financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I just happen to look at this stuff every day, so I share what I see, you know? Let's try the chat again, see how everyone's doing. Let me pull it up here. Up to $1.46 now. Yep. XRP will be the PayPal of the SWIFT program. I hope you're right. I mean, I hope they're just involved, honestly. Will Fed chair come out and shit on us with negative news? He did not. He came out and said that the rates are holding the same and number is starting to go up. Fear and Greed Index 35. Thoughts on XCN? You always have something new for me, Yeshua. I don't have any thoughts on XCN. I haven't researched it. I think you're researching more than I am. I'm trying to stay up on the news with Clarity Act and AI and what's happening with XRP and Canton Network. So no, I'm not familiar with XCN. CC is dropping for some reason. So two things. One, they actually had a token drop. I was doing more research. I've been doing more research into the Canton Network. They had a token release in mid-March, which was this week, mind you, of 27 million tokens. Which, keep in mind, ladies and gentlemen, they're burning about 15 million Canton tokens a day. So them dropping 27 million means it gets eaten up in 2 days. But there was a token drop of 27 million, and they were doing an upgrade on one of their services, which actually was reducing the burn rate. Once that upgrade is complete, it's supposed to increase. And that was tweeted out by Yuval Ruse, the co-founder. So I think that has to do with why it's been kind of stagnant lately. But again, I'm still figuring out how that price is moving in regards to utility. I'm really focusing on the DTCC pilot when that goes live, because the thought process according to the math, the thought process according to the math is it's going to be deflationary before the DTCC pilot even goes live. So it could ramp up very, very quickly. That's the thing about CC, is that if it moves quick because it'll be due to the burn rate. And once that transition happens, it's just going to, you know what I mean? New to crypto started with XRP, HBAR, XLM, and Flare. Okay, where are you from? Where are you from? Ikiro. Ikrio? I hold XRP, I hold HBAR, and I do have XLM and Flare both as dart throws. They're not part of my normal pillars. CC is on Robinhood. Fun, bro. It's available on Robinhood to buy. Raul says he is at $1, or he's got his buy order in at 14.5. Okay. Do you know about Algorand? I do have a little bit of information on Algorand. I did research on it a while ago. But it's how do I put it? I was really focusing on the tokenization plays and the way I view my portfolio. If I don't believe in a project enough to dedicate to investing into it, like I'm not going to branch out and invest into like 18 different things. That kind of defeats the purpose. So I tried to focus on something in each layer in research. And when I came to tokenization, I was focusing on HBAR and Ondo because they were leading in tokenization. And then I started looking at tokenomics and settlement, and that's when I really found Canton Network and started falling in love with Canton Network. I rotated out of Bitcoin starting in July of last year and actually started purchasing Canton. At the beginning of December was the announcement by the DTCC. I remember it was December 8th was the exact day I bought my first Canton. Any idea what CC is not on Robinhood? It is on Robinhood. It just doesn't show up on Robinhood Legend because they do not have enough data to show the full chart yet. So it's on there. It's just not on Robinhood Legend. You were probably looking on Robinhood Legend, fun bro. It doesn't show up on Robinhood Legend. So if you were playing with the technical analysis stuff on Robinhood Legend, that would make complete sense why it didn't show up for you. But it is on there. All right, well, let's see. How far in are we? Hour and 12. We did over an hour. We've gone through the chat twice. We did the full recap. Well, that's all the news I have for you guys today. Again, members only Google Hangout tonight. If you are going to be there, I'm going to start it 15 minutes early at 6:45 so I can get everyone's email and transfer it to the Google Hangouts. So members only live stream tonight, 6:45, and then we'll do the Google Hangouts. Any of you who want to become a member, it is available at $7.99. We do a weekly live stream / Google Hangouts, and a weekly newsletter will be coming now that I'm getting everyone's email for the Google Hangouts. I'll start emailing out the weekly newsletter as well. I needed to collect emails in order to do that, and this is the best way for me to do that. New announcement for you guys. So the weekly newsletter will start going out this Sunday night to my members. So another piece of value for my members. I appreciate everyone taking your time to be here. You guys are the ones that make this possible. You guys are the ones that grow it. So I appreciate every single one of you for helping me grow the channel. ZBCN, I touch on this one all the time. I'm very familiar with it. I personally, it's a great project. I personally am not investing in any of the retail payment projects until the Structure Act is done and I know what banks are doing with stablecoins. Because unfortunately, a lot of the retail payment stuff can be impacted by banks, stablecoins, tokenized deposits. I want to see how that's all going to play out. So I'm not against it. I'm just holding for now. All right. But I appreciate you all. I'll see my members tonight. Otherwise, later. I'll see you guys tomorrow at noon. All right.